Welcome to What Are You Sporting About podcast, a podcast about business, employment, sports, and entertainment to help educate, support, and guide you to your next level. Here's your host, attorney Sivonnia DeBarros.
Hey, everybody. I'm Sivonnia DeBarros, a protector of athletes, and I'm excited, of course, I'm always excited to talk to you guys in another episode of What Are You Sporting About? I got a great topic lined up for you today, talking about expense versus investment. There are a lot of people who mix those things up, and it can just get them in hot water in the sense of not being able to move faster and further in their journey. So look, as I said, I'm Sivonnia DeBarros, the protector of athletes. I'm also the founder and the principal attorney of the S.L. DeBarros law firm. At my firm, I represent million-dollar brands, including athletes and business. Ironically, there are so many people who are out there with million-dollar brands and they don't even know it. And a lot of it is about their mindset. We're going to tackle some of those issues today on this episode of expenses versus investments. But first, I want to give you an invite. This is a test so that you understand, am I investing or am I thinking about this as an expense? Recently in July, the end of July, we launched the NIL Combine, which was on the back of the book launch in 2021. The NIL Combine was absolutely successful. We had over 100 participants who came. There was a mix of people, including experts and business owners, student athletes and parents, even athletic directors, people who work for the schools and want to understand name, image, and likeness. Even if you're not an athlete, student athlete, you still have something that is extremely valuable. That is your name. That is your intellectual property. It's your likeness. It is the thing that you create every day. But like I said, most people don't recognize that they have million-dollar brands because they're looking at it from the lens of an expense. Now, I want to personally invite you to get access to the NIL Combine because there was a lot of information that was shared. There was a lot of comments and questions about major issues to help people move beyond where they currently are. Some things that we dealt with was around niching down, understanding and learning how to find your niche, understanding marketing and the issues around marketing for small business owners, entrepreneurs, and athletes. We talked about and tackled issues on banking and finance and insurance and how you can also create revenue even from having certain insurance plans. All right. That's just a little bit, just a snippet of what we covered. And next year is going to be even better. But right now, I want to challenge you to think more put yourself in the driver's seat as being the entrepreneur and think about what really is an investment to me. What is an investment and what is an expense? Because there's a complete difference between the two. So I invite you, get the all access pass for the former NIL Combine event that we had this past July. You can go to bit.ly/NIL Combine-all access. Make sure you put that in all caps. All right. So let me just introduce to you a little bit of what we discussed. Hey guys, I'm Sivonnia DeBarros, protector of athletes. And guess what? We have wrapped up the first annual NIL Combine, live and virtual, to educate, support, and motivate athletes. Listen, whether you attended and did sessions or you didn't, guess what? You can still be in the room. You can get all of this amazing information to help you retain more knowledge, shore up your knowledge, and take the proper steps so you can get from point A to point Z. Look, all of us want to be successful, right? We want to create sustainable wealth. We want to make sure that we are building legacies out here with our name, image, and likeness. So you can do that with the NIL Combine All Access Pass. All you got to do is go to bit.ly/NIL Combine-all access. Make sure you put that in all caps, bit.ly/all caps NIL Combine -all access. Do not miss out on this opportunity. Our experts came, they dropped it, okay? They did their thing, and the knowledge is there. All you have to do is take action. Go ahead, get your all access pass right now. All right. So guys, like I said, I am going to tackle a question, a conversation, however you want to frame it, around expenses versus investments. But before I dive in, I do understand that we are finding and having newer listeners who are checking in and tapping into What Are You Sporting About podcast. I want to remind you, listen, go to your favorite podcasting platform, subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode. Next week, we are going to be interviewing an amazing woman in business and in sports to discuss how she is leveling up to help other female business owners. All right. So you're not going to want to miss that. And I don't want to give it away in terms of who it is. So you're just going to have to stay tuned. But look, a little bit about me, just to reintroduce myself to those who may be familiar. And if this is your first time checking out the podcast or live taping, then I am Sivonnia DeBarros, the protector of athletes and the owner of the S.L. DeBarros Law Firm. I am the attorney for $1 million brands, including athletes in business. I have been featured for my work in places like WGN9, CBS, ABC. I've been quoted in Forbes around a major celebrity issue, and I have also been published in Authority Magazine, BuzzFeed, and some other publications. I've been speaking on multiple podcast platforms. I've been invited all over the world to speak on business and sports issues, and I have educated hundreds and hundreds of lawyers and business owners just like you. So if you are looking for someone to help inspire, motivate you, and to give you some tools to help you to protect your interests, then guess what? You are in the right place. You are in the right place. So today we are talking about expenses versus investments. Expenses versus investments. And I do want to just say too, if you're watching this live, then let me know where you're watching from. I want to make sure that I can engage you in this conversation, because you may have a question or a comment that maybe someone who's listening to this episode later may have the same question or comment. And so we want to make sure that everyone is getting engaged. So yesterday, I was invited to speak on a podcast. And one of the questions that was posed to me was, what is the biggest issue that you've been faced with when representing athletes? And I paused for a moment because I really wanted to think about some huge silver lining matters that keep people stuck where they are. And when I say keeping people stuck where they are, sometimes people can soar educationally, maybe even professionally, but there's a lack of growth. There's a lack of personal growth, right? And so when I thought about this question, I was like, that's a good question, because it's not just something that athletes face. The biggest problem that I have when representing anyone is their inability to understand an expense versus investment. And I'm going to tell you why. If you think you know what an expense is versus an investment, then go ahead and let me know live. You can drop this in the comment section if you're watching this live, if you're watching it on the replay and you're in a platform where you can comment on the videos, then definitely comment and let me know, what are your thoughts? So typically, and of course, you guys already know, I'm a practicing lawyer. All right. So typically when people come in, the question is, well, how much is it going to cost? How much is it going to cost? That is such a, and I'm trying to say this without offending anybody, but I'm just going to say it, right? We don't want to put ourselves in a position where we are analyzing things from a poverty type mindset. I heard an amazing speaker say one time that poverty minded people look at the cost and ignore the opportunity. My wealthy mindset people look at the opportunity and ignore the cost. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to just go out there and be irresponsible with your finances. That wouldn't be a good thing. But if you're only looking at the cost of what something is and you're not looking at the opportunity of what it can provide you, then you are seeing that from an expense and not an investment perspective. And you're also approaching it from a poverty mindset. Now, another question that the host on yesterday's podcast asked me was, all right, well, what about clients who don't have $1 million brands? Guess what? Same thing. You know why? Because they fail to recognize their worth and why and how they have $1 million brand and are still looking at the cost of an issue versus the opportunity that it could give them. Imagine if you have created this amazing product or you created a brand that is going to break barriers. But in your mind, it costs too much to go and talk to an attorney. It costs too much to go and sit down with an investment banker and figure out what are the things that I need to do in order to really get this brand up and moving. What is the detriment to that business owner, that entrepreneur? Well, the detriment is that they lose out on the opportunity of realizing and bringing that brand to be $1 million brand. I love quoting Les Brown because he says that, or have said that, so many people will be in the graves, like their dreams, their hopes, everything that they wanted will go to the grave with them because they don't have the wherewithal to move forward on it for whatever reason, right? We all come from different backgrounds and families, and there are also different things that keep us somewhat stuck in areas that have us thinking in a poverty mind-stricken way. Now, let me be honest. Can I be honest with you? Your girl right here, I always have to check myself. I always have to check my mindset around, am I looking at this from a wealthy mindset or am I looking at this from a poverty-stricken mindset? Because something that can help me create better opportunity and to 3 times, 10 times my money is more of an opportunity. That's an investment. That's not an expense. And so we have to really get down to the brass tacks about who we are as people that keep us from being able to invest in ways that can really catapult us into the next phase of our lives, right? Now think about it. If you pay your lights, right? You pay your water bill, you pay, what else? Your car note. Those are typical expenses. But let's think about something such as education. People will see paying their tuition as an expense, but guess what? Your tuition is an investment. You are currently separating yourself from your money for a particular type of education with the hopes that once you have this training, this certification, or whatever it may be, that now you will be able to go into a different industry, whatever that is, and make more money. That's an investment. And it creates a different level of opportunity for you. Because if you weren't in that space, but other people are getting the type of job or position that you want, but you needed this training, you're completely left out of the running. So let's think about this as entrepreneurs. Right? I always discuss and try to teach business owners about some of the issues that current clients and former clients have presented to my office with, and some of the things that I really could have just helped them with if they invested into legal services. So let's take the example from earlier with a young entrepreneur who has created some type of brand or product that is going to break barriers, but they're stuck in the in the expense mindset and not the investment mindset. Often, what people will do is they will go and try to DIY their legal. They will go try to DIY their financial structures. They will go and try to DIY their intellectual property registrations. People will go and DIY everything until guess what? It's too late. Or until they've lost so much money. Or until someone is infringing on their mark. Or until someone has sued them for something that they didn't know. Woo, mind blown that I could even get sued for this, even if they didn't intend any harm. So it's so important that we check ourselves, because our mindset in many ways is created and formed by our experiences in life, around the environments that we grow up in. If you are someone who's always grown up around parents pinching pennies and looking at the costs and looking at the bills, then by nature you will be that person who pinch the pennies and look at the bills and stop yourself from really being able to flourish because you're too afraid to invest in yourself. Now, let's not just talk about money. Let's talk about time. Because I always say to people, time is the commodity that I can never get back. And if people waste my time, it pisses me off. It really pisses me off. Like, you want to get on my bad side, waste my time and not give craps about it. Waste my time. That would really, really upset me, because I understand the importance of it. And I understand that once that time goes by, I don't get that back, right? So we can always make more money, but we can never make more time. So when we're looking at our time that we have available, let's think about the people we've lost over the last few years. What would you give to be with those people again? What would you give? And then think about how much of a disservice you're doing to yourself by not investing the necessary time to elevate yourself in your life, by not investing the amount of time to become a better version of you, not someone else, but a better version of you. Those people that we've lost, would they be happy about that? Would they be proud of you for that? Or would they shake their head like, I don't know what this child is doing? We got to be honest about that. What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Because it's expensive. It's expensive. When we're talking about time, it's expensive to wait around and to lose moments of momentum that you can be gaining by personally developing yourself. What does that look like? That looks like picking up a book to read on an issue that interests you, to read something that you're trying to elevate your knowledge in, by seeking support to help you get over certain traumas that you've experienced that keep your mindset in a downward position where you can't elevate, right? Implementing or investing in time is finding what are some ways that I can begin to create different sustainable, revenue sources so that I can free my family from the stronghold of always being so tight on finances. What is the method that will allow me to live freely, breaking through any barriers that I felt has kept me there, right? We spend so much time on idiotic stuff, things that don't matter, things that don't develop us further than where we are, people who add absolutely nothing, no value to our lives. And then you go into a professional's office seeking to have some type of support and you say, that's too expensive. I don't understand it, guys. I don't understand it. Because when you're wasting your time, that's expensive. When you understand exactly what you want out of life and you know that there's an investment that have to be paid in to get you to the next level, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Set your parameters. Understand where you are. And listen, sometimes you just have to grow into investments. I had to. I made some, and know this too. When you make certain business investments or investments into your personal development, whatever it may be, some things may not have a return immediately. We get better with understanding investments the more we engage in it, right? I've invested in the wrong people before. Come on, that didn't even involve money, but guess what? It involved my time. I can't get the time back. I ain't going to make more money to cover that, but I can't get my time back, right? I've invested into different programs that never panned out for me. But I also have to look at, okay, did I do every single thing that was necessary to make sure it worked for me? Right? We have to also take that ownership. But the more you invest, the more you'll start to see the return on investment, because one, you'll learn something about yourself. Two, you'll know what exactly you need to do to at least get some form of return, right? And then you're able to continue developing the confidence around investing. But the entire goal is for you to start shifting your mindset around what an expense is and what an investment is. If you approach every single thing as an expense and not see it for what it is, as a mechanism, as a way to help you 3 times whatever you have, right? To jumpstart whatever business you want to jumpstart, to 10 times the income that you want to receive, then you're probably going to remain where you are for years to come until you wake up and realize, whoa, I need to invest in this. Right? I mean, let's put it in numbers, because people tend to understand numbers more than theoretical sayings. If you had a $10,000 value, brand, and you're like, hey, I need to hire an attorney, help me trademark this brand, help me, locate somebody to get this marketing out. I want to do all these things, right? And if I tell you, okay, well, it's going to cost you another $10K for whatever it is that we're going to do. And your first response is, whew, that's too much. That's an expense. That's coming from an expense mindset. But think about it. If setting up all of these parameters along the way costs you $10K, but you're going to be able to realize another $100,000 over the next year, next 2 years, think about how many times you've multiplied that previous 10K, right? We have to start thinking about the opportunity that is available when we invest in ourselves, but also learning how to invest in ourselves and what things are good for us to invest in, what makes sense for us, what parts or different types of investment can also create opportunity. That is the question. And I'm so glad that question was raised to me yesterday, because I didn't even think about talking about it, but it is so important. I am where I am in my life because I've invested in myself. When I didn't have any money, I invested in people. When I didn't have any money, I invested the time. And shoot, I'm still doing all of that. So now I'm investing in people, I'm investing in time, and I'm investing my money, right? So at the end of the day, when we do what is necessary to elevate ourselves, not just from a financial perspective, but from a personal perspective, from being who we are and knowing that we are meant to do greater and bigger things in this life, then you will be armed with the confidence to know you need to do more. Right? So listen. Make sure that you subscribe to the What Are You Sporting About podcast, because I don't want you to miss an episode. Next week, like I said, I'm going to be interviewing a dynamic woman in business and in sports. If you are seeking to be motivated, this will definitely be the time that you come and check in to What Are You Sporting About podcast. Episodes are recorded live every Wednesday, so make sure you come and check it out. And look, get our best-selling book, What Are You Sporting About? You can get that at prosportlawyer.com/best-selling-book. people have been, inspired in so many different ways from this book. Folks who are not professional retired athletes, people who technically are not really in business, have been inspired by this book. I charge you to go and get this and see your life change today, because it does pull at the heartstrings, and it makes you really have to tap into those false narratives and mindsets that don't serve you. And it definitely doesn't serve your future. But we build you up by the end of the book, because we want to make sure that people truly know what they are sporting about, and make sure you keep coming back to listen to more episodes. All right, guys, I'm Sivonnia DeBarros, the protector of athletes. And as always, it is my pleasure to motivate you, educate, and support you to your very next level. Talk to you soon. Ciao.
Thanks for joining us this week on What Are You Sporting About podcast. Make sure to visit our website, prosportlawyer.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your favorite platform is, so you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or iHeartRadio. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like the show, you might want to check out our book, What Are You Sporting About? Attorney Sivonnia DeBarros is available for private consulting at sldebarros.com. And remember, we're here to educate, support, and guide you in your journey to success, because we're all sporting about something.